she was like, no way. And I was like,
So how are you doing during quarantine?
I'm fine, honestly. I've been gardening a lot.
Really?
I didn't realize I like gardening, so that's a new discovery.
And cooking. I saw a burrito that looked really yummy. Like, were you
Oh
always
yes,
cooking?
yes. Yes, I've been cooking. I've just been like doing I'm a domestic goddess now. I'm like cooking, cleaning, like finding any excuse to do DIY. I'm like on it.
Yes.
That's awesome.
You guys? Lady D, where are you based?
Hi, I'm in New York too. Nice to meet you.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
I've been to New York once. I did a show for some art collective, and I stayed in Williamsburg. And people tell me that isn't the real New York.
Did New York live up to your expectations?
It was cool. I actually went to a few places, and it was during Halloween and just before Trump was elected, so it was a while back.
Oh wow.
And I've never been in the US for Halloween, and it blew my mind. Wow, you know, take it like seriously. I was on the train late at night. Everyone was dressed up. It was kind of magical.
Especially in New York City, that's such a big deal. They're famous for their parade.
Yes, I actually joined the parade. I like jumped over the fence and I joined the parade. It was so much fun.
You know, that's what happened to me during the Women's Rights March. Like, I went to Webster Hall to like pick up the tickets for the event, and then it was like the Women's March going on, and I just seen like a bunch of ovary signs and, you know, pussy bites back and all types of stuff. And I just got there and I was like, screw it, I'm marching too. Like, I'm way here. But speaking of women's rights, like, that's your thing is very important to you. I did actually see, I just want you to talk about a little bit what you're continuing to do now, because I did see the zine. So I was like wondering if the zine was still there.
Yeah, I have a few more copies of the zine, but I released it with my EP in 2018. And right now, and so I use the money from the zine to, because I work with a high school in South Africa, one of the schools I attended, and we use the money to support their arts program and to pay for some of the girls' fees. So right now, like what I'm doing is trying to figure out how I'm gonna like repeat that cycle again. Because I use the
episodes. I was like, is it like a comic with a storyline, or it's like a...
Oh no, it was like a once-off kind of zine, and it had like essays and poetry and comic strips from different artists, mainly from South Africa, but some of them were from the US and from the UK and so on. Yeah, it was a pretty cool project to kind of put it all together. I just curated the zine, and I did an intro, and I co-wrote a comic with someone.
That's so cool. So, and it supported 2 schools. Now, so in South Africa, what's the school fees? Like, this is for children? They gotta pay to go?
Yes, you have to pay to go to school in South Africa. Unfortunately, education isn't free. And the school fees, like, they aren't that expensive. Like, let me just do an estimate, like, of what the dollar to rand. So for the primary school fees, the kids pay like, honestly, they pay like $10 for the year. So that isn't a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But still, they still need to pay it. And then the high school kids pay about $160 a year. So we sponsored about 10 primary school kids, and then we sponsored a few high school kids. But we mainly, I'm mainly focused on the arts program, because the school has an incredible, an incredible group of talented girls, but they don't have any extracurricular activities, and they are so good at singing, dancing, anything creative. They are amazing at it, but they have no resources. So I've been helping them kind of build and put together an arts program.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that is. And that was in Cape Flats?
Yes, the Cape Flats.
What was it like growing up in Cape Flats?
Well, I'm not sure if you know the kind of like the landscape of South Africa. Um, so first of all, like what makes the Cape Flats um, like interesting is the fact that so during apartheid, South Africa was divided into three racial groups: white, black, and colored. And in South Africa, colored is like a term that is used quite frequently, and people actively identify as colored. It's like being mixed race, but coming from generations of mixed race people. So a culture kind of formed around that, because if you put a group of people together and force them to live together for over 100 years, the culture is bound to form. So there are people who actively identify as colored. And so
so like black is not colored.
Yeah, well, you see, so you get people like me who identify as black and colored, because you like I identify as black in the kind of like broad Steve Biko sense, but I also have to acknowledge that I have privilege as a colored person, so I can't face the same struggle as a black woman in South Africa, even though I am black. In South Africa, I'm not. They wouldn't qualify. Like I wouldn't qualify as black. I would qualify as colored. So there's a fine line between acknowledging your privilege, but also not like divorcing yourself from the struggle of blackness. So it's very complicated. Right. So in the Cape Flats, like it was a colored community, and it was just kind of like I don't know. It's like a pretty under-resourced place, but very colorful, lots of culture. I honestly don't know how to really describe it, because I guess it's all I really, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it was a really interesting place to grow up, because I was able to understand the landscape of South Africa just by living there, because you're living in the middle ground between black and white. So you get to see how people are struggling, and you also get to see extreme wealth, and you're kind of wedged in the middle of it.
So it's like, do you go to the supermarket and pick up meat and stuff, or is people like, no, we got our own animals and we're gonna raise them and kill them? And
I grew up going to the supermarket. We didn't really slaughter animals, but it is like my grandmother would bring chickens and I slaughter them. Like it depends like how far and how deep you are in culture, because in African culture, even if you're wealthy and you shop at supermarkets, like culturally, like for weddings and funerals, people still slaughter animals as like a symbol of celebration. So it wasn't like we don't do that all the time. It's more like symbolic now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the hip hop scene like in South Africa?
The hip-hop scene is really, well, it's big. It's the biggest scene in South Africa, the biggest in the music scene. And to be quite honest, for the most part, it's quite American. Like, it's quite influenced by the American culture. So our mainstream hip-hop artists are quite like Drake. Like, they've got that similar kind of, like, Ferraris and cars and bling-bling and all of that. But there is another music that's coming out of South Africa called Qom. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's spelled G-Q-O-M. Qom.
G-O-M.
G-Q-O-M.
G-Q-O-M.
So the Q in the African languages is pronounced
like a K?
So we call that music Qom.
Qom.
So that music is a mixture of hip hop and like a kind of like an underground bassy sound, and it's really popular in South Africa right now. So that is like the most exciting music coming out of South Africa, and it's like playing all over the world. You can go to clubs like in Europe, in the US, and they play that kind of music. I don't know if you've heard of Shoma Josie or I can't think of the other Qom artists now, but it's like really popping off all over the world. And it's a derivative of hip hop.
I'm about to look it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up as soon as we get off. How does it compare to the hip hop scene in London?
Oh wow. Well, the hip hop scene in London is very much like grime,
Mhm.
and it's a lot more. I would say a lot like London is a lot more conscious about the hip hop. I would say, like my experience of London is they talking about things that matter. You do have the turn up squad, but for the most part, like London seems to be quite conscious about the hip hop. You know, they value artists who have something to say and who are critique the status quo.
I know grime is really big in London right now, and a lot of the producers have actually like bled over into the United States.
Mm. Grime, and there's also drill. Have you heard of drill?
Yes.
Drill. Oh yeah, we love that.
We have a huge drill movement in New York right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wait,
What?
but I feel like drill just like really started getting popping over here.
Yeah.
But I feel like drill over there was there.
Yeah.
Cause remember that song? 2 + 2 is 4. Plus is math. And then the boom 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 boom.
Yeah.
That was a drill beat, and like everybody was on it already before.
Well, a
we
lot
were
of the
on
drill
it.
artists that like Pop Smoke that like started the whole drill movement over here, he was working with London-based producers.
Oh.
See?
And so what else is big in New York right now?
Right now it's drill.
It's true.
Everybody wants to be a drill artist right now.
And then they killed our artist Pop Smoke that brought the drill over here. Yeah, so that was sad.
New York is always a really like either a place where great things start or a great incubator for the next movement. Like it always seems to be incubated in New York before it pops off. Like that's where they nurture the next big thing, and then suddenly it pops off. Like the queer Vogue scene. Like my understanding was that it was like really kind of.
We Vogue in the morning. We Vogue in the morning.
It was grown out in New York. Yeah, so New York's so exciting.
Yeah.
Piggybacking off of that, talk about being a queer female in hip hop.
Well, my experience of it has honestly been really good. I'm sure that because I'm a queer woman, I've missed opportunities that I think I probably would have gotten if I was like more, I guess, like straight and mainstream. But I think I have my blinders on, and for the most part, I've had a really great experience because I feel like I'm able to build community, and I don't feel like I feel like I can build a fan base legitimately and authentically, because I think being queer and a woman in hip hop is quite a vulnerable position to be in, but also being vulnerable lends itself to like being open to people and having people resonate with you much easier. So I think that because I'm a queer woman in hip hop, I've been able to connect with my audience in a very intimate way that I think maybe I wouldn't have if I had not been a queer woman. So I'm very grateful for that. I feel like I'm building a family, and when I travel with my music, people come up to me and tell me quite intimate stories, or like I feel like I really connect with people, and my music means something to them if they're going through something. So that has been my experience, really positive.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. And congratulations on your engagement.
Thank you.
Yay. I'll talk about like your songs get picked up. Like they're on Netflix and on BET. Are those the first 2 times that like your songs have been picked up?
No, actually, I've been getting syncs like crazy. Like I got a sync for Apple TV. They used my song, and then a few on Netflix. I've just gotten another Netflix show. For Renault, the car company, and McDonald's. Like a lot of companies have picked up my music. It's quite interesting because I'm not a mainstream artist in any way, but mainstream brands seem to latch onto my music. So that's so fun to me that like these big brands use my music for advertising, but I'm not a big like I'm not a mainstream artist. So it's, I don't know, maybe the music captures.
It gets in people's heads, and it's actually good.
Yeah, and maybe it just captures the spirit of what they're trying to sell.
Right.
Because these days they use feminism and they use like queerness and all of those kind of things to sell products, you know, like things that used to be a struggle, now they capitalize off of those struggles to sell products.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's a fact.
yeah, and the thing is, like, there's a part of me that wants to be like, fuck that, but also like I'm gonna take their money, like I'm gonna get paid, fuck that, like if they're gonna
I promote that all the time.
Yes, fine.
Yeah, I'm like, listen, the gays get money. I don't know why people hate gay people so much, but I'm like, I just feel like the gays get money. I say the gays, that's everybody. I'm like, yes, like they don't like being broke. We got the nicest things. We got great taste. I'm like, you can't go wrong. It's just like black people, like. So that's so great. So do you have any like? I mean, you always put stuff out. Like I'm going down. I'm like, I'm never going to get to the end of everything that she's done. You've been out here for a while.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't look old. You might be fooling me, but those are great genes. But I'm just like, well, has she been doing this since she was 12? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I've been making music since 2014 or 2015. So yeah, about 6 years, I'd say. But only really like doing it full time for the last 4 years. Because when I first started, I had to I was like waitressing and bartending and working like so many jobs to keep my music career to get it off the ground. And now I'm like a full-time musician and I'm able to make a living off of it. Yeah, and I started out as a drag king. I used to perform in drag just like for fun, honestly. And then when I was performing in drag, I would perform hip-hop tracks. And then after a while, I found that the drag performance was quite one-dimensional. But I had gotten like a taste for being on stage and performing and doing all of that. So I taught myself music production. And then that's kind of how I got into making hip-hop music. And I just released that track, Keep in Touch. And it went well. So that's how I got into it, actually. Like kind of a backdoor way of getting into hip-hop through drag.
Did that influence how you perform as a rapper then?
Definitely, without a doubt, because I kind of came up on the drag scene. So I came up with, and I was the only drag king, and the drag queens are so amazing. Like it's like the performance and the makeup and like the pageantry and all of that, it's incredible. And so they kind of set a really high standard for me in terms of what I want to convey in my performance. Because drag is so well thought out and it's so subversive. Like it's not just putting on a dress and performing. There are so many layers and like humor and like I just find it quite dynamic. And I found performing as a drag king to be boring because I wasn't wearing the fancy dresses and the makeup and the glitter. Like dressing up as a guy is way more boring than dressing up as a woman.
I was about to say, I never heard of drag kings. I was like, because you said you were the only one, and I was like, what? I could do that.
Yeah. But I did eventually start a drag king troupe, and there were 5 of us by the end of it. But yeah, drag has definitely informed like my performance, like 100%. I really owe it to the drag queen in Cape Town for teaching me.
And talk a little bit about the Go High, Go Low. What inspired that song?
That song was really about resilience and persistence. Like I have a lot of high, like basically it's quite simple. Like things can be quite difficult and you have highs and lows, but you continue to be persistent. And lyrically, that song is about resilience and persistence. But then the video is kind of a celebration of where I come from. Because I believe
I loved it. Everyone was there. I was like, what is going on? I was showing everyone. I was like, yeah, this is who we're interviewing. Cool.
Thank you.
What was your best memory from the video shoot?
I made a lot of friends in the video shoot. Honestly, like I guess the best part was the drag racing guy because he burns out his tires. And if you look carefully, you'll see the police pulling up in the background.
And they was coming for real.
Yeah, like the police were in the background and they stopped us like, what's going on here? Because it's illegal. But luckily we had a permit, but we didn't have a permit to drag race. We had a permit to shoot, but we gave the police some food and we were very friendly with them and they let us shoot. So that was a good experience. And then also just in general, like I made a lot of friends during the shoot, the video shoot, like all the people in the cast, they were actually friends of mine. And afterwards, we just had a big party together, and it was just like a cool sense of community and camaraderie. It was a really great experience.
And also, talk about featuring the golden dish in your video. That's a pretty important establishment.
Yes. So Golden Dish is really famous for the Gatsby's. So Gatsby's are like these sandwiches in South Africa with like you guys call them French fries. So it's like a sandwich with French fries and meat and like different layers of things, and it's like fast food. We consider it junk food here. And back in the day, during the apartheid days, Black people and colored people didn't have restaurants to go to because all the fancy restaurants were reserved for white people. So Golden Dish was really important in the 1970s and 80s as a spot where Black people and colored people could go and eat. Like there was a restaurant that they could actually, that was Black owned and that they could attend. And so it's quite a big landmark in South Africa. And so I wanted to, and in Cape Town, and I wanted to feature them in the video because, like, also for me personally, like it's the first place I ever had a Gatsby, and it's just like an iconic place that you go when you're a teenager, and we go out partying, and after you party, it's the only place that's open at 4 a.m. in the morning. It has a lot of significance for young people in Cape Town. Like everyone knows Golden Dish, and it's like close to the heart.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
How much do you love Oprah?
I can't even begin to explain how much I love Oprah. Why would you ask me that?
I kept seeing the Oprah references, and I was like, wait, Oprah was like featured in the video. You guys did a whole edit where Oprah was calling you. And then I looked at the zine and seen an Oprah poster, and I was like, she really likes Oprah.
Wow, you really, like, you are quite observant. You even noticed it in the comic. I really love Oprah. She's just like so cool, and she has her own garden where she like basically makes it like she grows vegetables and then eats the vegetables from her garden. She has her own school. She's like the most influential woman in the world. I have to stand. Like, come on, she's amazing.
She is amazing.
A black woman, like, what the hell?
I want you to really meet her in person one day.
Oh, I'd love to meet Oprah. I would faint. I don't know. I probably shouldn't. I'd embarrass myself because I don't want to be one of those people like now I meet Oprah and I'm like, oh, Oprah. I want to be cool when I meet her. Like, oh, Oprah. Oh, what's your name again? Sorry, I didn't quite.
Barbara? Yeah.
Play it cool. Erin and Lady D, who would be your equivalent of Oprah for you?
Okay, so I met mine. It was DMX, and I did not even know what to say to him, so I just hugged him.
Oh wow! And was he nice?
He was so nice. Like he hugged me back, and he was just like my phone case is actually DMX, and so he was like asking me about my phone case, and I just was staring at him like it was like the second coming of Jesus. Like I just didn't know what to say.
And when did you meet him? Was it like in his bag?
No, it was at a show. I work for a promoter that does like a lot of live events in the area, and so he had DMX. And it was totally my dream to meet DMX. So at the end of it, he arranged for me to meet him upstairs in the green room. So it was like, there was like all these people standing there like watching this happen.
Amazing. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
And you, Lady D?
I was thinking about my answer, and I was like, I know that there's someone I would really like to meet, and I really can't think of who would make me. Maybe like I love. I mean, I'd love to meet Michelle Obama and ask her a bunch of stuff.
She's so perfect.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting. Yeah.
Have you read the book?
I did not read her book yet.
I can let you borrow it. It's amazing.
You have it? I was like, yeah, I really want to read. I read Obama's book.
Have you been watching any of the Instagram live battles during quarantine?
Which ones?
Like the like T-Pain, Little John, and RZA and DJ Premier.
Oh yeah, I watched them, but honestly, I'm not good with Instagram live stuff. I watch them for like 2 minutes, and then I go off, and then I go back in. Like I have a very short attention span. But I did watch some of Diddy's dance stuff.
Who are you currently listening to?
I just really got into Earth Gang recently.
Oh, I love them.
I'm really into Earth Gang right now, and who else am I listening to? Let me open up my Spotify playlist and tell you exactly who I'm listening to right now. Oh, I'm also I'm really enjoying Coffee.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Grammy nominated.
And then I always go back to Janelle Monáe. Big fan of hers.
Oh yeah.
Who else am I listening to? Like quite a few South African artists I'm listening to. I love house music, so I listen to a lot of house music. I listen to a lot of stuff, honestly. Sometimes I listen to classical music. Sometimes I listen to like old school. Like I've got this playlist, like a morning wake up get ready playlist, and it's got like, you know that song, gotta be real, to be real.
Got to be real. Yeah.
That's on the playlist, and I've got Cher on the playlist. Do you believe in love of love?
Oh yeah, that would wake me up. Yeah.
So I don't know. I listen to like new music, like 21 Savage, and then I listen to like Cher. All on the same playlist.
That's awesome. And what can we expect next from Dope Saint Jude? What do you got coming up?
I am working on my album. I'm using this time in quarantine to work on my debut album, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm also writing. I just wrote a story for Girls Talk. I wrote a story about legacy and about my mom and my gran and how I relate to them. So I'm interested in kind of exploring that story more and releasing it in a longer form. So I don't know what that's going to look like. Right now I have an essay, but I'd like to release it in a longer form. Maybe I'll write a book. I don't know. I've just been writing. And then also, I'm also working on a movie project with a friend of mine who's a director. So yeah, that speaks to my heart. And and I'm also trying to work on like more content. I'm trying to be more content driven during this quarantine.
Oh, more content. Yeah.
Oh, but it's so hard because it's like whatever, like just me cooking all the time or like me cleaning. Like it's so boring.
That's how I feel, like a creative blockage right now. I'm like, well, what am I gonna show?
But how do you guys feel? I mean, you guys are New Yorkers, so I'm sure you are used to the high-paced, hard work all the time. But there's a part of this kind of like this emphasis on being productive in this time that makes me feel a little uneasy, because I also feel like it's a strange time emotionally for people. Mm-hmm. So maybe it is time to reflect, and look inside and not like act like the world is still moving at the same pace it was, because it isn't, and maybe we need to slow down. How do you feel about that?
That's kind of what I've been doing in quarantine, because before this I was like, I have a regular 9-to-5 day job, and then doing the radio show and trying to be everywhere all at once, and it got really hectic and I was starting to get burnt out. So it kind of like parked me on my butt and forced me to kind of take a time out, and I feel refreshed and I feel creative and I feel productive, but in a different way.
I feel like I have a lot of time now to like do all the stuff that I wanted to be doing and focus on like passion projects. But then at the end of the day, it makes me feel sad because part of my passion projects has to deal with peopling and being out there and having events and all that. And it's just like, you can't do all of that. So I'm like, well, what am I working towards if we're going to be in the house? And like the scientist in me is like, okay, viruses don't just like vanish. So it's not like it's just going to stop all of a sudden one day. So it's like, what do we do? What if this is life forever? What would I be preparing for? So
That's deep.
That's what makes me sad. Where I'm like,
Yeah. But I'm thinking about you guys in this time, and also I'm thinking about your country in this time.
It's like kind of cool for us though also to get your perspective on things, like being that you're international, so you're based in London, and so your perspective on what's happening here is different from our perspective because we're living in it. Yeah, should we come to London
right now?
You guys make me laugh.
Which is good during this time. It can be stressful, man.
Yeah. This is the first interview with someone that we've done, right? Since we've been out of the studio, out of the everything.
Yeah, this is the first interview that we've done under lockdown.
Amazing. I feel very honored. Thank you.
No, we're honored that you would let us interview you.
Like...
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.